What's up guys, this is Ronnie. Welcome back to tutorial 102, and today we'll discuss one new tutorial, and this is a complete new tutorial. This is nothing to do with Python and Cypher. So as you can see, the name suggests this is GraphQL integration with Neo4j. So yes, we are going to start a new tutorial, and when I say start new tutorial means I'm not going to continue with this series in this this is actually, let me just explain this thing why I'm just creating this series. So this is actually our tutorial is more or less dedicated for Python and Cypher, but as you can see, I'm just in the middle of the tutorial. I just started a new tutorial, so I got so many requests, so that is why I thought of creating this tutorial. And just because I'm not having any more playlist or series for Neo4j, I just thought of creating this inside this tutorial, and most of the students, those are requested, are part of like my this series. So that is why this also relevant for them to just go through this thing. But again, I'll not be going to continue the GraphQL in the upcoming videos. The tutorial will be for two or three tutorial only, cause I'll be going to cover only the basic part and how to integrate, how to start getting started with GraphQL and Neo4j. Those things will be covered in this part, but in the later on, maybe after 1 or 2 months, we'll be going to start the actual tutorial with GraphQL and Neo4j. Okay, so so after this tutorial, probably 2 or 3 tutorial will be with Neo4j and GraphQL integration, and later on we'll be going to continue with our usual series, that is Neo4j, Cypher and Python. Okay, so those are requested to know GraphQL integration, or just requested me to create a video on GraphQL integration. For them it will be super easy, but again, remember, I'm not going to cover any theoretical concept of GraphQL API, why this is important, what are the benefit using it over REST API, REST client, when to use, when to not use. Those things will not be covered, but while writing the code, I'll explain few of the concepts. But again, if you want to learn the concept and other thing, just go ahead and read the documentation, because the documentations are available in the internet and the Google Stack Overflow, anywhere. But what is missing actually, the integration video with the code. So that is why I just thought of creating this tutorial, because whatever you guys are facing the problem, I also faced the problem 4-5 months ago. So I think yes, it makes sense to create this tutorial. And again, this video is completely based on JavaScript. It's actually going to be a Node.js application based on JavaScript. So if someone is not familiar with JavaScript, I'm sorry for that, but again, it is often essential to know JavaScript, because knowing Python is a good thing, but knowing only Python is not a good thing. When you are going to compete or going somewhere for the interview, every next guy sitting with you in the room will be a Python guy. So yeah, definitely your recruiter or interviewer will expect that you should bring something extra on the table. So that is why JavaScript and GraphQL is a very good start, and GraphQL is one of the trending and emerging technologies at this moment. So if you learn this thing, familiar with this thing, get some expertise, become master, definitely you will be getting like extra edge on top of your basic skill. So that is why it is a very good starter kind of a kickstart kind of a series. This is going to give you the basic intuition, give you the understanding of the GraphQL integration. And trust me guys, if you watch this tutorial and if you follow the codes, you can do anything, because this is the most challenging part, because I also took 2 or 3 days to figure out how the connectivity and integration and the response is actually getting written from the API. So just enough of talking, so let's start writing the code. Okay, so first thing first, let me open my Visual Studio IDE, and I already created one folder, the repository also being set up. So here, so some variables are there. Let me delete this thing. We're going to start from the scratch. So for creating this thing, I have to create a package.json file first. Okay, next thing will be that I'll be going to create one environment file, that is env, right? Next thing is that I'll be going to create one gitignore. Okay, and next thing will be I'll be going to create our main code file, index.js, and also I'll be going to create a schema files. schema.graphql. So schema, every GraphQL API server API actually consists of three parts. One is called schema, and second part is the request, and the third part is the response of the resolver. So this is the schema file. I'll be going to hold or write down all my schemas over here, and the remaining part will be going to written in index.js. So what actually schema is going to hold, we'll see in the later section after just a couple of minutes. But before that, let me just start writing the code for package.json. Okay, so package.json means what are the dependencies you are going to use in your code, that will be like written here. So scripts, and you are going to write like this. Okay, so let me hit start, and it should be node index.js. so this is done, and after that I'll be going to write comma, and maybe I can write dependencies like this, and I'll be going to write down the dependency. So it should be Neo4j hyphen GraphQL hyphen JS, and like this, comma, and next thing will be our Apollo hyphen server. Maybe 1.2.15 is going to be work. Okay, and next thing will be .env. Okay, so fine. So done, all done. So let me just install the dependencies. We'll see if I'm getting any error or not. So let's see. So dependencies are getting installed now. Let's wait for some time. Okay, so let me add this thing in the git ignore. So git ignore, it is done. So package.json file is ready. Now I'll be going to start writing our schema. So before writing the schema, let me show here that here my Neo4j desktop is running. So let me open my Neo4j instance, and if you see, I have already created these two nodes. So this is Rahul and this is Ronnie. So this node is actually part of student label, and Ronnie is also part of student label, and modern is actually a name of school. So this node is having node label is school. So school is having two attribute, one is id, one is name. One is id is both are string actually, name is modern and id is this one. And for student, I have this many attribute, id, name. Okay, id, sorry, this is id is internal id, but I have created one like a custom id. So name is one attribute, id is one attribute, school is one attribute, sub and sub2 is one attribute. So 1 2 3 4 total 5 attribute is there for my student, and here also 5 attributes. So I'll be going to create the same thing from our schema, so that I'll be able to read everything. So for reading that thing, so let's see how to create the schema. So this is super easy. So you have to write type, and after that you have to write student. Just because our node label is student, I can write like this, and after that name, and it will be string, and I want this thing to be mandatory, so that is why I just write this thing. But just hold on, let me check. It was capital response. For student, the name is in capital. Okay, so I have to use in capital, so it should be name in capital. Okay, then school, this is also string, right? Then I have id is mandatory, so I can write something like this. Then sub1 is integer. What happened? Then sub2 is another integer, and I can write this thing. So this is done. So now I'll be going to write down the type schema for school like this. Okay, and after that I can write name, and here string mandatory, and I'll be going to write the and it is going to be again string. Okay, so done. So now let's write down the relationship. So student study at school and student study at school, so there will be a relationship which name is study at, and the direction will be outwards from student to school. So let's write down that thing. So how to do this thing we'll see. So student goes to school, just create a random variable name goes, and here it goes to school. So school means this label. So and how to use the relation, I have to use the relationship directive from Cypher. So it will be like this, and after that I have to give the direction. Okay, so it will be out, and I have to give the name. So name is going to be study at. Okay, so done. And we'll be going to write down the same thing for school. So school is actually reverse. So school has multiple student, school can have multiple student, and the relationship direction will be inwards, like towards school from like student. So here and just give one name called has. School has student, that's a good thing. Multiple student, so it will be inside a array. Same thing, I'll be going to put a relationship directive relation, and the direction will be inwards. So I believe you guys are able to understand. Now you understand why I just created this thing here, because I'm teaching Neo4j with Cypher, and this thing is more or less same. So till now we haven't done or haven't touched anything from the JavaScript code. So 90% thing may be the concept of Neo4j Cypher, and the 10% coding will be from JavaScript. So, and JavaScript is very easy, guy. You can go and learn this thing, and I highly recommend. Okay, so done. Our schema part is completed. So let me just close this thing, and let me just start writing the code from here now. Index.js. Okay, so first thing first, I'll be going to use our let me just tell you, for creating an executable GraphQL schema, we need to use some augmented schema function, which is part of our Neo4j GraphQL JS. So it will help us to get it will help us to generate the automatic resolver function, or automatic resolver capability, by translating our Cypher query to GraphQL API request. So that is why I'll be going to use that. So it will be make augmented schema. Okay, and it should be require, and here it will be Neo4j GraphQL and JS. Okay, then next thing will be, I'll be going to use Apollo server. So it should be Apollo server, and this is going to require the Apollo server, right? Okay, next thing will be, I'll be going to use Neo4j Driver. So let's create an object for this thing. So it should be Neo TQUIRE, and I'll be using Neo4j Driver. So Neo4j Driver, done. So three essential thing is done. So now next thing will be .env. We'll be creating a variable called .env. Okay, and this is going to use the .env module from Neo4j, sorry, from JavaScript. So it will be Neo4j Driver. I forgot to use the double quotes. Okay, so it should be .env like this, and now I'll be going to use the path. Okay, so this will require to read the file, the schema file mainly. So again the path, and the last thing will be fs module, so that we can read the content of the file from the file system. Okay, right? Okay, so here it will be like this. Okay, all done. So let me check if everything is fine. So no error means everything is fine. Now let's create the read the from the environment file. So in Neo4j environment, for connecting or establishing the connectivity with Neo4j, we need three different things. That is, one is Neo4j underscore URI, right? Second thing will be our Neo4j underscore user. Third thing will be our Neo4j password. Okay, so we'll see that now how to do this thing. So we'll see bolt, and we'll see how to do that. So our protocol address is bold, and you have to use localhost. I believe all of you know, and you have 7687, right? So our user ID will be Neo4j, and the password will be, this is my password. Okay, so done. So let's go back to the Neo4j index code. So we'll write down the code now. So first of all, let's configure this thing. Okay, and now we'll write const. Now we'll be going to write everything here, whatever we have write, Neo4j underscore URI, Neo4j underscore user, Neo4j underscore password, and it will be process.env. So let's check I haven't missed any comma, semicolon or bracket. I believe everything is fine, all fine. So now we'll read from the schema file. Okay, so for that let's create type depths. So this is going to be fs.read file sync. Okay, and after that we can write path is this path dot join. Okay, and here it should be din name with the current directory name. We'll be going to join, and here it will be schema dot GraphQL, all done. Okay, and we'll be going to write toString, and it should be UTF-8, and we'll be going to use a semicolon. That's it, our schema is ready now. So next thing is that we'll be going to use this schema in our augmented schema function. So constant schema, let's create an object, and it is going to be make augmented schema. Okay, and inside that I'll be going to use that type depths. Okay, that's it. Now I'll be going to create a Neo4j driver instance using JavaScript driver object. So it should be driver is going to be Neo4j dot driver here. Okay, and it will be Neo4j underscore URI. Okay, and then it will be Neo4j dot auth dot basic. So inside a basic we need user ID, and we have to pass user ID and password, Neo4j user and Neo4j underscore password. So our connection string and the everything has been given. So we have created the Neo4j driver Neo4j driver instance. Okay, so this part is done. So now next thing is that we'll be going to create a implementation of our GraphQL API server using Apollo server. So inside our Apollo server we'll be going to pass three different things. One schema, one is context object, and actually two things, schema and context object. Schema means the schema we have already created, and the context object means it is actually going to hold our database driver instance. Okay, so let's write down this thing. So it's const server. Okay, and it should be new Apollo server. So like this. Okay, so schema, then this, then we'll be going to use context. Okay, and here we'll be going to use driver. Okay, and Neo4j database equals to Neo4j. Okay, like this. Now we'll be going to execute this thing. Okay, so it should be server dot listen. Okay, so we will use port 5003, right? And maybe I can write the local host. Okay, and just because this is going to return a like promise, you can use it then, and it should be URL like this. And again can write an arrow function here where I require to write the arrow function. Yes, right. So arrow function, this thing is part of the ES6, so those are already familiar with JavaScript, for them it will be really easy. API is running at like this, and here I will use the URL. That's it, all completed. Colon, semicolon, and here colon. Okay, let's execute this thing. Hopefully I got some error. Let's check. Neo4j database equals to Neo4j. I'm not sure. Oh, okay. So it should not be like this. It should be like this. Okay, cool. Again, some error. Let's see. Function error. What is the error? Type ID. Some error is there. I don't know. Let me check which line the error. This is also not clear. Unknown type ID. Did you mean ID? Okay, let me check in schema. Did I? Okay, so it should be ID. Okay, so now let's check this thing. Still some error. Okay, so here it should be dot. Okay, now this is running. Let me open this thing. So this is going to load the GraphQL playground. By default it will be loaded, but this is not the actual client. In the project time or the real world scenario, you have to create the client. So this sort of tutorial will cover in the actual Neo4j GraphQL section. So let's see how to run the query. You have to use this thing, and after that you have to use control space, so all the different object will come over here, and after that you have to use this, and we'll see what are the attribute you would like to see. I got Ronnie and Rahul, and after that we'll see what else we have school, and within the school we have name property. So see, like this. So this is actually coming from this Neo4j database. Okay, so now list down all the other attributes. So let me try school, let me try ID, let me try sub1, let me try sub2, let me write goes. Inside the goes, let me write down the school name. So for every student I will get this information and a student school information. See, all these things are value from the Neo4j graph, and this is the school information. all this information are the value of this like property of this student, and this is the value of the like school where actually it goes. It is actually equivalent to this thing, arrow, this relationship. Okay, so similarly we can do the same thing here as well. We got this thing, and after that we can have, just because we created this attribute with has, and after that we write this thing. So this is going to return now one array. So this is the school modern here, the school modern, and school modern is going to return this array, and array is going to hold this thing. Okay, so this is super simple, super easy, guys. I believe you guys understand how it is working. So now we'll do something different. So now what we'll do, we'll just try to use our Cypher query. So create something. Now we'll be going to use our Cypher query inside our Neo4j, inside our GraphQL. So what we'll do, we'll create a special variable called total. So the type will be int, and this is going to return the summation of sub1 and sub2. Okay, so for that we have to use int, and have to use Cypher directive. We have to write like this: statement this, and inside that I have to write my query. So it should be match, and match student like this, right? Then a dot sub1, b dot sub1. So it should be return a dot sub1 and b dot sub1, right? I believe you guys understand how it is happening. So a dot sub1, b dot sub1, but again student means which student, it will not able to understand. So that is why in GraphQL there is a special keyword called this means the current context. So it will be replaced with this dot sub1 and this dot sub2. So now this is going to return the total. So let me execute this thing one more time. Okay, so we'll write total. Okay, and we'll see here. See, I got the total 120, I got the total 170. So we have completed three different things. We have seen how to create a simple GraphQL API server using Apollo server, how to integrate with Neo4j, and the third thing is that how to integrate Neo4j and how to get some sort of complex like property value, or establish complex property value using Cypher. So inside our GraphQL we use Cypher, we use relationship, we use JavaScript. There are so many different things we have seen. So trust me guys, this is the basic foundation and building block of integrating your application with Neo4j and GraphQL. So if you understand, learn and master this thing, you can do anything on top of your existing knowledge of Neo4j or GraphQL or JavaScript. I actually took 2 and 3 days to learn this thing and understand how it is working, because that time, as I told you, still now there is not much material available which can actually talks about this integration. Actually it is there, but for the newcomer or the beginner it will be difficult to understand. So that is why I just thought of creating this tutorial. Definitely it is going to help all of you. So let me know, have some sort of feedback how you are actually enjoying this course, so that I can come up with the actual series very soon. My plan is to do it from the month of April in 2021, because by then we will be going to cover our or finish our Neo4j Cypher with Python series. Okay, but if I get so many requests, I could start immediately within like couple of months time. Okay, so I'll share the code and share the code with you, all of you guys, soon. But till then, just do some sort of practice, come up with some nice ideas. If you have any use case, try to tackle those use case, and while doing that thing, if you're having any problem, just let me know. I'll try to figure this out, and maybe I can also create a tutorial. Okay, so thanks for all your support guys. We'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care, goodbye, and have a nice day.